Moving on. The bullies are like criminals. The two guys that were bullies, they're like violent criminals. That's racist. This other woman we spoke about before, she's not morbidly obese, but she is, what's her name? Ilana?
Ilana Glazer.
The last time we spoke of her, Eric, was because she was in a Miller Lite commercial where they talked about how sexist it was to have attractive people in beer commercials. As you can see, her avatar says, "In defense of black people."
She's still using that. That's a good catch. I kind of like didn't even realize she's still using that, like that completely stale BLM profile picture as quite literal BLM people go to bat for Palestine, and I'm
Yeah,
here. I'm all about a good
she's
meme.
Jewish, isn't she?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I thought I opened two different ones, but one was they were both the climate emergency she's saving. Let's see what she's got to say this time. So
Well, wait,
Miller
before,
Lite.
but yeah, okay. So
Hmm.
let's just preface this because last time we spoke about her, she was saying that beer commercials were sexist. Prior to
Hmm.
that, she was dancing around, and I would be 99.9% sure that there's still a clip of her on her very own Instagram dancing around topless, trying to get people to vote Democrat. So it is not sexist to take your shirt off to get people to vote the way you want them to vote.
Hmm.
It is sexist to put a woman in a bikini in a commercial to sell beer, and now she's going to at, 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 to kill two birds with one stone by basically claiming that you should be eating mushrooms. And look, that's up for debate. Fine, people love mushrooms. I don't care, but it is quite clear that that is an also a very sinister plot to make sure that people are complacent and not hip to what the hell's actually going on. But let's see what this wild woman has to say.
Down, down, down on democracy. It is literally so terrifying that we just lived through the hottest summer we've ever experienced, yet the coolest summer we'll ever live to see.
You literally cannot prove that.
Yeah.
Yikes. But there's gotta be some awesome, cool progress happening.
I like the don't that this is a technique. Don't put the camera directly in front of you. Use the second angle so it doesn't look like I'm reading a script, which is what she's doing because she can't act.
That we can be hopeful about. I just don't know what it is. So I'm going to text Dr. Ayana Elizabeth Johnson and ask her
Okay.
what we can
She
be hopeful
seems
about
fair.
besides youth ego. Oh, okay. She's going to get back to us later. Okay, she got back. She said yes to youth activists, IRA implementation, that's the Inflation Reduction Act, better climate reporting and engagement from Hollywood and TV, love it, and increasingly
Stop it
awake
right there.
citizenry, yes.
Please stop. They literally are telling you that they are going to inject more propaganda into Hollywood and TV. That's literally what she just said. Climate propaganda.
Well,
They're
yeah,
not even hiding it.
the Inflation Reduction Act. I don't know, like they never started claiming that was climate related when they started it. It was supposed to be about inflation and lowering the cost of pharmaceuticals, which is when they said Biden's lowering the cost of insulin, even though Trump already did that. Then they reversed it, and then he's lowering it again, and then they pivoted. It's a shame for them that I know a lot about this. And, like, I'm not saying I know a lot about like every bill, but this particular one I know a lot about. And then they changed it to try to be like it was actually a climate change bill, you guys. Once it was clear that it did do anything for inflation, which it never was going to, and now she's saying um include stuff in Hollywood, and what's this part?
And we legit have almost all the
Oh.
solutions we need. We actually know what to do, from electricity to agriculture to buildings, which is a huge deal. Of course, if climate candidates lose elections, we don't get that speed. Hashtag vote climate. Okay, so that's hot, or hopefully rather increasingly cool. And speaking of an awake citizenry, maybe you want to let your elected officials know that you'd like them to declare a climate emergency. Like, release the Kraken, guys. Because what more do
Random
they
pictures
need
of
to
disasters?
see it as an emergency? Hey, President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Quick question. How do you guys define emergency? Like, I feel like the climate emergency is an emergency and you should declare it as such. Could you?
So terrible content.
Doesn't
And
even mean anything. Oh, just
well, it's sneaky. When you say declare it as an emergency, that means that you can suspend all other things and you can allot funds that were might have been meant for something else towards this, so that there's no what's the looking word I'm looking for? You don't have to be You don't
You
have
don't have to follow any
to.
rules. It doesn't have to
Yeah,
get
you don't
through
have to
like
be responsible for the money, and therefore we can just throw money at the people we want, which is always what it is. Declare this uh, r- racial justice, the things we always talk about. We need a diversity officer, throw money at this person so that they can allot money towards companies that they like. Exact same thing. What I found very interesting at the very beginning was yes to child activism, essentially. When the children agree with you, and they're some of the only people that agree with you, that means your ideas aren't good, because I can come up with a policy that says, increase uh production of soda by 6,000%
or
and lower
Oreos.
chocolate. I was going to say lower chocolate bar prices by 6,000%, and the 3 to 12-year-old contingent is going to applaud me. And then I can move up and say Xbox and PlayStation will no longer cost money to play online. You will no longer have to get your parents' credit card. The children are going to agree with me. So when you don't have functioning adults with brains that are fully developed, it's very easy to get them to agree with you and say that they're amazing when they do stuff that they agree with, from your campaign side of things. But otherwise, we can't let them drive. Otherwise, they can't drink or vote or anything. But the children
But we
agree with me
will
because they're
cut their
smarter.
junk off. We will definitely
Yes.
mutilate their bodies. And is this e- exactly in line with what we saw, I don't know, a year or two ago when Project Veritas went undercover and the CNN guys like, oh yeah, when Rona's over, we're gonna go to climate crisis. Like this is literally what they're doing. Like the war. Obviously, it's hard for us to tell. Being eyeball deep in news, but it's like it's so painfully obvious. We can't be the only one seeing this. Like, what was it, 2021, or it might have even been last year before James O'Keefe was fired or ousted or whatever. Where they're like, yeah, I mean, you could even go back to Van Jones and the Nothing Burger. Like they get caught saying these things, they don't care, they do it anyways because they know the machine works for them. Think about Katie Hobbs again. I mean, living in Arizona, you can drive around the greater Phoenix area for hours, 2 to 3 hours, and not see one. Did Katie Hobbs even make a bumper sticker? Probably not. But you can see Carrie Lake all over the place. So they, their plan leaks. And they do it anyways because they know that they have the power to, if anybody steps to any of it, to just, I mean, without being completely hyperbolic, they would love nothing more than to throw you in jail. Ask anybody who's still rotting in jail from January 6th, while the BLM protesters destroyed cities all over the country, and then they get paid out. Oh, New York is going to give $3 million to 500 BLM protesters because they got arrested. It's absolute insanity. And last thing here, apples to oranges, perhaps, but as usual, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, and I'm sure you heard about this. Maybe I don't know. I'm shooting from the hip. The Amber Alert in California that is now specific to black kids. Like, this is.
Yes. What's it called?
I think. It's called an Ebony Alert.
What is it? 1985?
So yeah, this is where we're at. We have this completely hypocritical Hollywood puppet screaming for climate change while Governor Gavin Newsom is basically telling you that, yeah, if we lose a white kid, you can wear that, but I mean, this is just, and keep in mind.
What if instead, when your phone rings for an Ebony Alert, the sound is mm-hmm.
Oh, this is not funny. It's not funny.
It's
This
true, it's
is
not.
it's look, but this is just how dark it's gotten, bro. Like this is how desperate they have become. Um and I think for and I've probably posed this question several times before, but is this good or bad? Because even when you go out and talk to people, like no phones, no microphones, just regular conversations, like just like regular people at the grocery store, and they see through it, which you think at first thought is a good thing. Like, oh, everybody sees through it. But on second thought, the powers that be, the mayor, the governors, the politicians, all of them, they know people see through it and they do not care. There is no going back. So I
Well,
think it's actually a pretty dark situation.
Well, they know Amber Alert isn't based on the color. It's because of a child that was named Amber. But like it's not like it's called White Alert or something like that. Like now we need to differentiate between the skin color of children. Surely that won't be bad. Surely like you're just asking for racism.
And
Now they're
whatever
going
happened
to
to
be
reparations? Remember that? We were talking about that pretty
yeah,
heavy.
we were. But Gavin Newsom's active lately. I think maybe he's thinking about retiring or running for president because he's passing stuff. He vetoed the psychedelics bill, and your point there, where you talk about why they keep doing it. This girl's got over 1 million followers, so the machine continues to push things out because they want to throw so many things at the wall and make sure that they stick. And it's I'm
Look
not
at the
sure
top
who
comment.
if you're so patriotic, why are you silent now? That's not a good comment, even. You
But
must give an opinion on this. My
but
point
the
was
point
going
is,
to be
people.
that she is, you know, I don't think anybody really respects a person who goes out, like, you're on Saudi Arabia TV and you're just like, it's amazing that women can't drive here at night. Um, it's amazing that we have like something that you just feed the regime exactly what it wants to hear, and then they reward you for that. There's a documentary about Americans who are content creators that are popular in China from America because they create pro Chinese content, and white guys that I've seen specifically.
Like they're still in America though. They didn't like move there, or it doesn't
Correct.
matter. Okay.
But they've visited there and they completely play ball, and they get paid by Chinese companies to say how cool the stuff in China is. Nobody's going to respect you when your come up is backed by the government. Like that doesn't make you talented. And if things just go the other way, then what are you going to do? You have to become a counter activist, and then you have to say, Orange Man bad and all this stuff. Should we see how patriotic she is?
We're here. We might as well take a look. Such a shill.
Hey, listen, everyone can define patriotism in their own way, but we are all sick of hearing patriotism defined one way. You do not get to define what patriotism means to us. We are patriotic as hell because more Americans are employed right now than ever before.
Pause it.
Cha-ching. We're
So
patriotic
she gets literal talking points from the White House.
Yeah, that's it. It's like she literally pops up a Joe Biden tweet on there, and I mean, how much more clear does it get, right? Like, and to her credit, I will give her credit for this. She has not wavered in her puppetry of the establishment, because you don't. I think we discussed this and you don't remember, but she had a Comedy Central show called Broad City,
Right.
a, probably more than a decade ago. It was probably like 2010, 2011. It was a long time ago. She was just a kid, but even back then, I distinctly remember her Hillary Clinton having a guest spot and them doing like this. Of course, it was a joke. Oh, it's all a joke. This is what we hear. But like she does this like slow motion salute, and all the eagles fly, and the flag is waving in the background, and it's like, and she does, it's like this whole, like, yes, it's a joke, it's a bit, but it's her literally like putting Hillary Clinton up on a pedestal, and that was a long time ago. So if she's nothing else, she is consistent to her allegiance to the machine. That is for sure.
Turn it up, Jordan.